Okay, guys, I have an absolute legend. He's on again. I think it's second or third time, maybe at this stage. Garethroberts from the Anfield Wrap is in the house. We're going to chat about the Reds. And anytime we chat about the Reds, it's always a good day. Gareth, how are you?
I'm all right, mate. Yeah, not bad. You look, the Reds are doing all right, aren't they? A couple of things
Yeah.
we wish they'd improved upon. Of course, there's always that. But I mean, I think all told, we go into this, or we are in this boring international break.
Oh,
With the Reds haven't done all right so far.
yeah. I mean, like all the doom and gloom in the summer. I think I talked to you at the back end of last season, and we were talking about all the crap that was going on. We ultimately finished third, which, to be honest, was crazy. Getting
Yeah.
third spot was it was delicious now. It was nice, but it was crazy. But all the bad news, forget about all the bad news. This is going to be a lovely little 20-minute stream where it's good news. And we're chatting about the Reds. I don't want to hear any negativity. Isn't that right?
That's
That's
nice,
the
mate.
way.
That's
That's
how it
what
should
we
be.
want.
We're in it
That's
to
how
it.
it should be.
We're in it to enjoy it, aren't we? So we may as well try and enjoy it.
We're in it to win it. That's Liverpool. That's Liverpool's motto. That's Liverpool's new motto. Instead of this means more, we're in it to win it. So obviously we've had a good start. We're only a point off Chelsea. City are a further point behind us. We've had a decent start in the Champions League as well. 2 wins out of 2. Things are rosy in the Anfield Garden.
Yeah, and we're scoring goals. There's a couple of results in there, obviously, that we as I said before, we could have improved upon. So I mean, I think it's disappointing that we, after taking the lead against Man City, we can't see it out and win it. Equally, Brentford, you would probably say similar. I mean, I always suspected that might have been a tricky game just because of the Saturday night on the telly, newly promoted club, and all that kind of stuff. And then Chelsea, disappointing in that game as well, wasn't it? That we couldn't beat 10 men. But equally, I think if you hadn't known the context, and when the season started, you said, as you pitched it, a point off top in the league, perfect start in the Champions League, scoring loads of goals, witnessing one of the best goals at Anfield we've ever seen. You'd take that at this stage, I think.
Listen, I'm taking that, as Gary Barlow would say. But I just see something here. The Mighty Reds television, you're not only a legend, you're actually now an idol. Look at that. Robbo was my idol from the Cop magazine days. What was the Cop magazine days?
I don't know if he means I don't think I ever wrote anything for the actual Cop magazine. I wrote something I ran my own magazine called Well Reds back in the day. So maybe the Mighty Reds television is referring to that. The Cop was Chris Mack, who's still kicking about on Twitter, still doing stuff for Reach, as they're called now, doing their LFC publications. But I like the Cop. The Cop was sort of it was produced by the Echo, if you like, or the sister group of the Echo. But it was like fanzine style content, and it was decent. But sadly now long gone, along with Well Read and along with many other fanzines, such as the digital age of journalism and fandom and everything else.
We're living in a crazy. I actually had Peter Houghton from The Farm on about a week or two ago.
Oh, yeah.
A lovely lad, and he was telling me about when he started off back in the early 80s, if you remember, the End magazine.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
And that was huge. I never really had heard of it. Like, this is early 80s stuff here.
Yeah.
Do you remember that, do you?
Yeah, I remember the End, and I've got the book, which you can buy a book where all the copies of the End are sort of, hardbound and in a book, and it's still a good read, and it's still a good part of culture. And they famously had the ins and the outs, the things that were cool to be involved with, and the things that weren't, and all that. And it was more about, it wasn't sort of like heavy football content. It was more about sort of, being a lad that goes the match and what that involves and the culture around that. They used to get stuck heavily into Leeds United fans, I seem to remember. But no, it was a key part of sort of where we've all ended up. I mean, I grew up on the fanzines. The End was a little bit before my time, but I do remember it. I was more Through the Wind and the Rain was the one that I grew up with. I've got loads of copies of that still littering the office somewhere, I think. There was the Liverpool Way as well. There was loads of sort of short-lived ones as well. There was another Wasted Corner. There was one. I can't even remember the names of them all. There's one still going, isn't it? Oh my God. Red All Over the Land. Yeah, Red All Over the Land is still going as a Liverpool fanzine. It's the last remaining one. And if you stand around the sort of Cop area of the ground when you go to games, you'll still hear them selling selling that one. You can get it online as well. And I know it's been tough for them as well. They've been plugging away, keeping it going. If people want to write for them, you can still get in touch with them and get involved. And I love fanzines. They do a big part of my culture growing up. Even the national ones, so like when Saturday comes and things like that. I think it's always important that football fans have a voice. Obviously, it's a lot easier these days for them to do that with the internet and everything else.
The TikTok fans, as I call them, or the Instagram fans, like they're taking. There's no fanzine, as you say. Fanzines are still there. They're part of culture. And actually, he was saying to me as well, like fashion culture, what you wore going to the match, how you it's tribal, really, wasn't it?
Yeah,
tribal.
Yeah. That's what it was all about. I mean? It was like, well, it's always been that way, hasn't it? Really, I think certainly in Liverpool that it is part of the culture of growing up to go the match. You'd either go to Liverpool or Everton. You're into bands, you're into trainees, you're into having a go at learning the guitar or whatever. There's always been a thing that, like when I've gone elsewhere in the world or even just in England, and like I've had people say to me, "How come all the Scouse lads always back all the Scouse bands?" And I was like, well, because there are bands, aren't they? Why wouldn't you? There's almost that culture of supporting your own in Liverpool a little bit as well. Not that it's like insular, but I just mean like, I don't know, Castellars, Shack, all of those type of bands. There's obviously a big following for them in the city and elsewhere, but it's always been part of the culture to go to bands, to go to gigs, to go to the match. And, and to try and keep up fashion-wise. I mean, I'm maybe not the best example of that, to be fair. Money doesn't allow me to keep up with it, unfortunately. but I try my best. I always make sure, I'm wearing a pair of Adidas. I'm still there in the Adidas school. I know some of the younger lads these days swear by Nike, but I'm still sticking to Adidas.
I think you look neat and clean. I think Adidas should have you as the pin-up boy, to be honest. But
thanks, Dave.
plenty of wonga there. But no, as I said, I love talking. As I said, I like talking about Liverpool, but I like talking about the city as well. And is there anything happening in Liverpool City that people should know about? Like, I know they have the Beatles. I think Peter Houghton's involved in the Beatles legacy thing.
Yeah, I think there's like a panel or a group that sort of works on, how all that works. And I think Peter is involved in that. I mean, obviously, there's, if you want to come to Liverpool and learn about the Beatles, there's loads of ways to do that. You've got the Beatles experience or whatever it's called on the dock. You can go on tours around the city. I mean, I even did some bits myself, sort of during lockdown, in that, when you literally couldn't do anything, when everything was shut. I went and sought out, Ringo's first home, sort of in Dingle, Toxteth. I just walked up there and had a look, really. And it was just interesting to think, this is where he grew up. There's a pub at the end of the road that's still there, which is on the cover of one of Ringo's solo albums and things like that. So there's obviously loads and loads of Beatles-related culture around the city. And I don't think Liverpool's ever going to be short of that. In terms of what else is going on, for me, it's just good to see it all opening up again. We're getting gigs back, bars are open again. It'd be quite handy if we could get a taxi back out of the city after we've been to things that night. There's currently a bit of an issue with that, which I'm sure you don't want a big chat about politics, Dave. But I'm sure
that'll be another podcast.
I'm sure you can work out why all of a sudden there aren't so many taxi drivers around. It's a similar situation with the petrol, etc. That all of a sudden this country has chosen to make it harder for people to work who aren't from the country originally, etc. So that's a little bit grim and a little bit sad. But that aside, Liverpool will always be a great night out, a great destination for people. There's always loads and loads of things going on. And I'm proud to be from here and proud to see where it's gone, because the era that I grew up in, it's sort of it wasn't always this way. There was always stuff to do and places to see and all the rest of it. But there's been an awful lot of investment in the city, and it's good to see. And I hope it continues. And I hope some of the investment trickles out into some of the areas just outside of the city as well, because I think that's where it's needed now. The city is in generally good shape, and the Albert Dock's great, and Liverpool one's great, and all the rest of it. But, you get out into like Kensington, Anfield, the areas round and about, they could do with some money investing in them now. And I hope that comes in the future.
No, absolutely. And I can second Liverpool. What a great place. I mean, if you're from Ireland, you know Liverpool's a decent place anyway at this stage. Let's be fair. But just before we go on to the football chat as well, you used to do that talking, Reds, where you'd walk around with the camera. Mainly you used to do it. Then you had a bit of history, and I used to love that. You think you're doing that again, or it's just so much football happening now, it's probably harder?
Yeah, I mean, the football's back now, isn't it? That was just sort of like a pandemic thing, really, that we come up with. We just thought, what can we do while we're all sort of locked up a little bit and restricted in what we can do? And we just thought, it'd be nice to get out and about and tell the story of the city a little bit more. I mean, we always try and do that on the Anfield Wrap anyway, to an extent. And, we've got a show called Alphabet Soup for people who subscribe. And we literally go through the alphabet, do a show on letter A, B, and C or whatever, and then move on to another 3 letters. And we'll do related stories in Liverpool around those letters. People seem to like that. And Walking Reds, that was just to, show a bit of the city that maybe people haven't seen. I did the walk along the front, went through the Baltic Triangle on another one, explain why it was called that, explain what's going on down there. And it seemed to be pretty well received. And who knows, it might be something we return to. Like I say, we're always looking at ways at the Anfield Wrap that we can show off Liverpool and show off what it's about. I know a lot of people who listen who aren't from the city or even from this country, love what we do. And then when they come over, they want to come and meet us and see the studio, which they're always welcome to do. And anyone that wants to do that, just come and give us a shout. We'll give you the tour of the Anfield Wrap if you like. But we're made up that, people want to come to the city and want to put money in the economy in Liverpool and see what we love about the city for themselves. And that seems to happen a lot. And if we can play even a very small part in attracting more people to Liverpool, then brilliant. We're all delighted by that.
Absolutely. The Liverpool Tourist Board should make us do an advert for them. But you never know. Jeez, we're really dropping all the clangers here in this one. Aren't we? Dropping all the... I just see here, Daz TV went to see the Anfield Wrap in Dublin and regularly listen to their content. Sound and class bunch of lads, and I can second that as well. And I've been there in Dublin. Obviously, I'm from Dublin, but hopefully next year, actually, you boys can get back on the road. I'm sure you've missed that, have you?
Yeah, we have. I mean, when the idea first came up to do a live show, I think we were all a little bit like, well, this is a bit mad. Do you know what I mean? Like we'd all done podcasting and we'd done a bit of video, but to go and do something live in front of an audience was quite daunting at first. You know what I mean? And you were like, well, how will this go? Yeah. And the first one we ever did was in Bray. And we had 500 people there in Bray who came to see us, and we took the T Street Band with us. We had Gillan Ballaghay with us. We had Tony Evans with us.
Wow.
And we put on a show, and people still talk about it to this day about, what a great time they had. And us the same, we had a great time as well. And then, from there on in, we got a bit of confidence that we could do something. We've been regularly to Dublin, regularly to Belfast. We've been elsewhere in Ireland as well. Had a great time down in Cork before coronavirus.
Galway, I think you were in Galway.
We've been to a few different places around Ireland, and we fully intend to go back because it's been fantastic every time we've been over. We've loved it ourselves. We've always had good feedback about the shows. And you're right, Dave, it is something we've missed. I mean, just before, everything started to really lock down, we had plans to go to America. We had plans to go to Canada for the first time. And, we booked hotels, we booked flights, and we were all ready to go. And all of that got kiboshed because of the pandemic. So, that was sad for us, sad for them, and sad for everyone involved. But we do hope to revive all of those plans. And in fact, we're doing a live show, a low-key one, a small one, in Liverpool on Monday in Leith. There are still a few tickets available for it. It's more of... It's less like the normal show, which is all, razzmatazz and mad and Saturday night and all this. This one's like a Monday night one. We're recording a couple of shows. It's a small audience, and we're going to actually put those shows out as podcasts, which, when we do the normal live shows, it's sort of what happens at the live show stays at the live show. But this is slightly different, but it's just sort of feeling our way back in. And look, as soon as things open up and it's a bit safer to do so and all the rest of it, we'll be back on the road. No two ways about that.
Yeah, absolutely. And I've been at a few of the shows. I was even at your end of season show in 2019 in Liverpool. That was brilliant, that one. I love the Monday afternoon hour show in the Bath. in the bat, but only after the Reds have won. What is he talking about? He watches it in the bat, maybe. Dan, I'll be talking to you later. He's good guy, John. Do you know what? I'm going to get back into the football for the last few minutes, and it's one person we have to talk about, and that's the king of Egypt, Salah. What a goal last weekend again. I mean, you've seen plenty of goals at Anfield. You've seen plenty of goals everywhere. I've seen them, most of them on telly, some of them in stadiums, but that's up there. It wasn't even the goal. It was who it was against. People are forgetting about it's against City, one of the best Premier League sides, probably, well, one of the best ever. Not a bad defense, let's say. So for me, you add the two together, that's up there. Has to be up there.
It has to be, like you say. Yeah, I mean, the current champions, a big game, loads of pressure, a game where Liverpool have been frustrated as well and not being at the best. And then, essentially the star player decides he's going to produce a star moment, and he's sitting people down on the backside. He's rolling his foot over his studs over the ball, and then suddenly shifting it the other way. He's scoring with his weaker foot as well. He's beaten world class players, as you say, and it was just one of those. Well, I thought there was two of those. I thought when he set up Mane for the other one, it was another one where there was just a bit of a. You're watching from the stands or you're watching from home, and you're like, our Liverpool going to get back into this, or our Liverpool going to take this by the scruff of the neck? And then Mo does that basically on his own. He decides he's doing it, and bang, there's nothing anyone can do about it. And I just thought, everyone's talking about it, and rightly so. It is one of those moments, like Klopp said, that you'll just remember for the rest of your time, really. I think for older fans, everyone will remember, or older fans will remember when John Barnes scored a fantastic goal against QPR. Yeah. And, everyone still talks about that. They still talk about the commentary around it. They talk about how he shifted it from one foot to the other, and the finish and the balance and all of those things. I think you're talking about, Mo's goal in the same way. It is one of the best that Anfield's seen. It's right up there. It's surely got to be up there for goal of the season, and we're only in October, and we're already saying that
it'd be in there.
That looks like it'll be right up there. And also, Mo's form as well. I mean, I think it's the best goal scoring form he's been in since sort of 17, 18 in terms of scoring. Whatever it is, 9 and 9. I think it might be something like that now. And you just think, well, if he can maintain this and keep going at this speed, then he's likely going to be top scorer again. He could be player of the year. And, how exciting is all of that, he is Liverpool's player. But this isn't us, like, turning on the telly to watch Real Madrid or Barcelona or whatever. This is our team and our club. And we've got one of the best players in the world in our first 11.
Probably on form, the best at the moment. But do you know what's really impressed me, Gareth, about Salah? Okay, his goals and his assists, but his hunger and his tracking back. I've never seen. He was hungry. It's like the first season he got those 44 goals. He's all over the shop. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I think
that's really impressed me.
I think you're right, Dave. Yeah, he just his mindset currently. It couldn't be better. And you're right. You've seen him sort of pop up in at right back, and he's putting tackles in, and you're like, hang on. And then he's all over the pitch. He's trying to influence it. He looks hungry. He looks hungry. I think is the best way to say it. He's hungry for goals, hungry for success. And look, there's all this outside chat and peripheral chat about, get him signed up, get his contract done. We all want that. Of course, we all want that. But it doesn't seem to be distracting Mo, which is the key thing. Because, sometimes it feels like when that's going on in the background, it can drag a player down and, his form suffers as a consequence. But we're not seeing that with Mo. And, see there, the 1892's podcast saying, do we think that we'll get the deal tied up? I'd like to think so, because I just think if you're the owners of Liverpool Football Club and you've got a player like Mo Salah on your books and you somehow don't get him tied down and he leaves, well, that is some black mark on your stay at the club, isn't it? Because, there's talk about him wanting a lot more wages than what the rest of the players are paid, and about breaking the pay structure and all this kind of stuff. I mean, I've got a few things about that. One is that if you went to Virgil van Dijk or Thiago or any of the other top earners and you said, would you begrudge Mo Salah being paid this? Because this is what he wants, and we want to pay him, we want to keep him. I'm sure that they turn around and say, we want to play with Mo Salah. We've got more chance of winning trophies with Mo Salah here than we have if he goes. So there's that argument. But then also, what would Mo Salah cost to replace? Like if you allow this to tick down and you sell him or God forbid, he ends up going for a free. Well, what do you? How the hell do you replace Mo Salah without forking out an absolutely enormous sum to bring in a person who's on the peak of the game, doesn't require any coaching, knows the system, can slot straight in, and is guaranteeing you 20, 30, even 40 goals in a season? It's just an absolute no-brainer. Get him tied down, get it done. And all of these things that we see dripping into the press about, his age, his performance, breaking the pay structure. I'm sorry, none of that stacks up. He needs to be tied down to Liverpool for the rest of his football and life, and let him get on with making his mark on becoming one of the biggest legends ever to play for us.
As you just said, he's 29. He's super fit. He's like Milner. He's got that same sort of build as Milner, super fit. I'd still think he's 3, maybe 4, maybe even 5 years at the top. I'm talking top scoring goals the way he is now.
Yeah.
Well, how do you replace a man, as you just said, 30 plus, nearly guaranteed? You can't guarantee even Haaland or Mbappe. Mbappe, forget about it. I don't even like Mbappe to be. I think he's a diva. I think he's a disruptor, to be fair. He's a good footballer, Gareth, but look at Salah. He doesn't disrupt off he's a family man. He's a religious man. He does all the right bloody things on and off the pitch. Sure, that itself is as big as bloody scoring the goals. He doesn't disrupt anything, does he? No, he doesn't. You never hear anything bad about him.
No, you never hear anything bad about him. He's an absolute model professional. You look at the shape he's in, it's unbelievable. You look at the form he's in, it's unbelievable. You look at the resilience as well. He's barely ever injured. He barely ever misses a game, touch wood, etc., etc. But, there's this thing that seems to exist within football clubs, Liverpool being one of them. This thing about, giving contracts to players who are 30 or approaching 30 or whatever. I'm sorry, in this instance, again, it doesn't really matter because Mo is in supreme condition. He can show that he can play week in, week out for Liverpool. He's barely ever rotated. He's barely ever rested. He doesn't want to be. And so it's I think the goalposts are moving in terms of how long certain players can play for. There's the Ronaldo circus going on over at Manchester United. Whatever you think of him, he is 36 and he's in good nick. And he's still scoring goals. He was scoring goals in Italy, and I just think Salah's similar. You got Lewandowski doing it as well. The age of top players who look after themselves all the way through the career, they can go on into, to 33, 4, 5, even 36, whatever. So if we know that and we've got that information about Mo, again, what is stopping you getting the deal done? Get the deal done. Imagine the boost to everyone if it got done. I still think there's like a bit of residual grimness, sadness, anger, whatever you may want to call it, around Liverpool in terms of there are still plenty of fans who are still like, the squad should be stronger, we should have signed one more, all of those things. And I get it. But I just think surely the club get it as well. And imagine the boost that it would
kudos,
give.
The FSG's kudos would just go, their stock would just go up like that.
You get it done. Yeah, get it done. Give them a 5-year deal. Get it done. Announce it. Put it out there that it's done. It puts it all to bed. And then all of a sudden it's like, anyone still moaning after that, you're going to be like, well, what are you moaning about now? Mo's staying put. So they do need to get it done, and I'm really hopeful that they will get it done.
Yeah, to be fair, I think it will be done. I think it'll be done quite soon. Actually, before Christmas, imagine a double Christmas present under your Christmas tree. Mo Salah and an extension from Klopp. That's an issue, but that would be an FSG up, Yeah. But I think we leave it there. That was absolutely brilliant. I really, really enjoyed it. I hate international breaks, so I had to do something. A nice little chat with Garethroberts from the Anfield Wrap. You all know who the Anfield Wrap are, of course. Top Reds content and more. Gareth, absolute pleasure. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Dave. Thanks for having me on, mate.
Thank you very much. We shall hopefully do it again before the end of the season and hope to see you maybe next season over in Dublin. Anyway, thanks, guys, in the comments. I got to rock and roll. Stay safe.